for clicking on our faces. Tonight, we have watched 3 whole episodes of the newly released Echo on Disney Plus, and we're here to talk about it with you guys. It's been a while since we've seen Echo. I want to say about 2 years, right?
About right. Yeah.
And our first introduction, at least mine, was through Hawkeye. She was introduced as kind of like the head of the tracksuit mafia, right?
Right.
Calling the shots. And we catch up with her not long after the end of the Hawkeye season, where she has, or at least she thought she did, shoot through the Kingpin's head and killed him. Unfortunately, that was not the case. Or fortunately, because I'm very much a Wilson Fisk lover.
I love Wilson Fisk.
Yes.
Every time he talks, I know we're going to talk about him a little bit later and stuff, but he always gravitates, because he's hard for, I know he's a villain, right? He's done some dirty stuff. But when he goes, you and me and Vanessa, we are going to be together. He wins me over every time when he talks. Seems superior. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I told you, man. Fisk is a lover. He is a lover. He's good to his woman. He's good to his people. And, I think it's all just bad press. Bad press.
Listen, no, I'm not. Listen, speak for yourself. I like Wilson Fisk, but when he killed that black man, he lost me.
Oh, well, he should have minded business. He should have minded business to face. But back to Echo. So we see her as a little girl, and she is, bonding with her family members. And a couple things, this little girl, to me, looks just like the grown-up Echo. Like, they did a
fantastic job with that casting.
Yeah, she looks just like her. And I thought it was interesting how normalized they made signing, because not only did her immediate family, like her mother and her father, sign, but her cousins sign, her grandparents sign. We find out in a later episode that her uncle signed. So it's like everyone signs in this family, and I'm assuming it's probably because of Echo. I think she's the only one who is disabled in that way. Yeah. But everyone makes an effort to learn how to sign. Even the grandpa, who's clearly not as good as everyone else, but he's still making an effort.
I mean, cut him some slack. The man is old. He probably didn't even realize what to do with his hand. But I give him credit, because for that age to learn that, he's got an older age. I feel like, when you're in, I don't know, your younger age, it's easier to do it. But for him to still try to learn it and still try to put it together, this is he gets 5 points for it. The grandmother did a fantastic job with it.
Oh yeah, everyone really did a good job. And we get to see how Echo's mom passes away. Unfortunately, she died in a car crash. We see the animosity between the grandma and Echo's father. Yeah, because he's apparently been a bad boy for some years. And she knew that and kind of blames him for the death of her daughter and all of that. So much so that he leaves the city. And I thought it was interesting how, and we find out more about it in later episodes, how the grandma just kind of brushed off Echo as well. It's like, it seems like she's mad at the dad, and she kind of decides, okay, well, if the dad's a bad seed, the daughter, I'm not even going to deal with her.
Collateral damage. Yeah. Which is wild.
But in the first episode, we see Echo going a lot of clips from Hawkeye, right? A lot of clips that we saw in that show. But we get to see her go out on her first mission, right? Yeah. And this was a really badass scene. This is what I liked about the series the most. It has been like the action scenes. They look really fluid.
Oh my God. Well shot. Very well shot. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just kind of when the action scenes are where this show shines, in my opinion. We do get to see, of course, as Dan kind of alluded to, the Devil of Hell's Kitchen is back. Daredevil is in this episode. He's in episode 1. and he gets in a fight with Maya, and she was holding her own so much so that even Fisk was impressed.
He was impressed by that. Yeah, no, he did.
Mm-hmm. So what did you think about that fight scene? What did you think about?
I loved it. It gave me feels back to what the Daredevil series was back on Netflix. So that was one of the things I really liked, and it felt so gritty. I think that was something that I liked, and I didn't understand because, for a period I felt like Marvel was stepping away to being too comical and stuff, and I didn't mind some of the stuff, but I was like, man, I kind of missed that Netflix feel to it, and I forgot that when we did Secret Invasions, cheap plug, that was pretty adult, right? Because people were getting shot, but I felt with this one, it had nothing to do with aliens and outer space. This had to do with the streets, and I really pretty much dig this fight scene, and it was cool to see Daredevil. And I liked also too that they didn't have him too much featured. Something I saw on Twitter that someone had to remind people was this show is about Maya, not Daredevil. But it was nice to see Daredevil. It was nice to see him not in the mustard suit. And I was actually for him to be in the yellow suit, but the yellow suit that they played on She-Hulk, I wasn't a fan of. But it was nice to see him back in the classic. What was that, like burgundy, dark red?
Yeah. I definitely prefer the burgundy suit over the mustard and ketchup suit. But as I think I've made this clear before, at least I have on Instagram, because I watched Daredevil for the first time in like 2020. The best suit he got is that black on black man when he got a little wraps.
What's so funny? It's simple, but it screamed badass.
Yeah.
I live in New York. If I saw somewhere in the streets like that, I'm crossing the street, even if it says "Don't walk." I'm walking
straight to all my Mass King girlies. Yes, we love a good black on black Daredevil.
Okay, okay, Riddler. Can we keep going here?
Just shout it out. But she did fight with Daredevil. She held her own.
Oh, that was badass too.
But after she finds out from Hawkeye that, of course, Kingpin was behind the death of her father, she makes her attempt on his life and she flees the city. And she decides to go back home to Oklahoma, where she was raised as a little girl.
Oh, it seems like such a terrible place to live.
Honestly, it's a small town, but it seems like it's really close knit. She know everybody there. Got her uncle, got her cousins, got everybody. Everybody's like, "Hey, Maya, welcome back." It seems like look, you're from New York, okay? You're from New York, okay? Shout out to the small towns. If you live in a small town, shout out to you. I see the appeal. Don't let them hate on you, small towns.
Nope. Let me get it gives me power. So yes, absolutely. But can I sit here and say, because you did mention the family, Cousin Biscuit. Cousin Biscuit is his name. Yeah. Love that dude. I'm going to save my thoughts for him for episode 2. But he was fun to be around.
Yeah, he was fun. He was definitely fun. But what was your favorite part of episode 1? For me, a highlight, like I said, was the action scene where we got to see her fighting and actually killing off people. And I want to say this was rated TVMA or something like that.
I think so. All I know is my TV started some mature content is going to be on. Viewer discretion is advised. I said Marvel never does that.
Yeah,
like rarely does that. So when I sat there and I watched this around 11 at night, because I did a review show yesterday, so I watched it 11 at night, and I said, "Oh, that's word," because keep it clean here. But I said, "Oh, that's word. I'm in for a ride." But I do agree with you. The fight sequences were some of my favorite stuff, just to see. And I like how they establish how badass that she is. Taking on multiple enemies, like I said, beat them up. Taking on, standing toe to toe with Daredevil. I thought that stuff was so great, and I thought it was such a great opening to let me know what kind of show that I was going into. So I do agree that the fight sequence were fantastic, and also I think they did a great job on establishing who these characters are and what they are to Maya. So yeah, I thought they did a fantastic job.
Now, we didn't discuss it, but in the opening of this show, in all of the episodes, they have like a label. It's called Marvel Spotlights.
Yeah.
Now, and I'm wondering if that's what they're using for their more grittier episodes, or for their like lesser known characters, or. But I didn't.
I think it's the latter. Because not a lot of people know who Echo is. Like how you mentioned earlier in this review show, you said your first introduction to her was Hawkeye, and that's the same for me because I've never heard of her, and I've played plenty of Marvel games, and because that's how I get my knowledge of Marvel. But I've never heard of her, so that could be the reason why it's do that. Like if Guardians of the Galaxy came out now, I think that's what they would have. Spotlight.
Oh yeah, okay.
So I think that. I think you're onto something there.
And speaking of Spotlight, when the show does open up, we do see kind of a flashback or like an origin story of the, I don't want to say it wrong, I think it's called the Choctaw people.
Oh, nailed it.
Oh, thank you.
Good job. You're so scared to say, and you nailed it. Okay, Hammer.
Thank you. Try, we try to be a little professional around here sometimes. But we get to see how, like I said, their origin story, and primarily this one woman in particular, who we discover in later episodes is kind of like a ancestor of Maya and her family, and that kind of has been like an ongoing theme throughout the 3 episodes that I've seen. This first episode introduced us to her, I guess, the first woman in her ancestry.
Like her great grandmother or something like that, right?
Yeah,
like
great, right? And then the second episode, we see someone else in her family, another woman, and they're playing like this traditional.
It looked like an aggressive game of cricket, actually.
Yeah, exactly. And the scene went on a little long for me. I do enjoy learning about like that culture, and I do enjoy seeing how they're going to tie in Maya's ancestors to this ability she seems to be tapping into, and I'll discuss that as well. But I honestly feel like those scenes could have been shortened. I feel like they kind of rely really heavily on the stories of her ancestors, and that's interesting. But for me, the draw is the action. It's the fights. It's the grittiness. It's the link to Daredevil, and I wish they would have focused more attention on having more action scenes or fight scenes, specifically in the second episode, than going into these women that we are unfamiliar with. Because again, we're really unfamiliar with Echo. So we're unfamiliar with Echo. We're getting all these other characters that we're unfamiliar with. And I kind of want them to invest as much time as they can in Echo. You see what I'm saying?
I get you. I totally get what you're saying. I get you.
But it in the second episode, we do get that flashback of her other ancestor, like you said, playing that aggressive cricket game.
I was so into that game. I've never been into cricket at all, but I sat here and said, I literally yelled, let's go.
Yeah, they were fighting for, their ability to stay. So it was definitely some high stakes on the line. And it seems that woman, her ancestor, tapped into some ability in order to win that game. And we see in the episodes a little while later, while Echo
on the
train, trying to do some, espionage and sabotage with the help of her cousin Biscuit, by the way, Biscuit, who we talked about.
Great biscuits and gravy, yes.
He's a great, interesting character.
Oh, I love him. That's me. The spot when he sat here and his grandmother Cody said, I'm on a mission, Grandma. Sorry. I said, hell yeah. I immediately became a fan immediately after that. I was pumped. I said, more biscuit. We need more biscuit. But this train scene was fantastic. I hear what you're saying where you wanted more action. You were talking about more of the fight sequence and stuff like that. I think let me ask you real quick. Do you feel like the pacing so far watching these 3 episodes, do you feel like the pacing is, it's not uneven, but it's kind of, because I saw someone on Twitter saying, complaining about the pacing. Do you think the pacing is uneven?
I think the pacing is off. And I think that's kind of what I was trying to address with the time they spent going over the ancestor stories and, them. I feel like, the pacing could be off. I feel like there's some scenes that are very dialogue heavy. And because of the nature of it being signed, it seems like it can stretch on longer than what we're used to from hearing dialogue.
Sure.
So I can understand. I do think there is a bit of a pacing issue. I agree.
Okay. All right. I think the pacing has been, I haven't been bothered by it, but I do like that they have dug in a little deep, and so you can understand a little bit more about her. Maybe they could have shaved off. I don't know how long like that first that opening scene was, right? Maybe you could have shaved off 2 minutes of it, cut off certain things. But I think they've done a fantastic job on having people try to get to know her more and understand her background. I did want to talk a little bit about this train sequence. Loved it. I thought it was great. It gave me Mission Impossible, but cooler. Sorry, Tom Cruise. Yeah, sorry, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is like 5'7", so I can't take him seriously. But she did a fantastic job. I'm sorry, I had to throw that out there. But I thought this was so cool. And then the spot, and I cringed too because the train crushes her leg. She has a. Yes, thank you. When she crushed, I said, "Ooh, that sucks. That's terrible."
Thank God it wasn't the other leg. I said, "Oh, thank God it wasn't the other leg." At least she
But Biscuit, and I thought it was so great too because she had a tracker and Biscuit was depending on that tracker to keep up with her, and also too to throw out here because you did mention this too because you did say this about. I just wanted to throw this out here too because Biscuit was really good with the sign language as well. Shout out to them for doing that. All of them knowing that because me, I would have just said, I would have hugged you and said, I love you, right?
Right. And she got him out here in his grandma's work truck. Like she literally uses that truck for work. He's messing it up. He
was on a mission, see the Superior.
Grandma gotta go to work. She was
at 92.
Yes, you see, she was a hardworking woman. She's a rural postal carrier.
No, honestly, she looked like she's never smiled a day in her life. I mean, did you see her? She always looks grumpy. She always looks very upset. She looked like someone just used the last bit of her Bengay. So, no, I don't know if I want to sit here and be all for Grandma here. Grandma always looked kind of grumpy.
Grandma definitely got some issues, right? She doesn't seem that pleasant. I feel like
Grandma the grump.
Tired, like maybe she's tired of
but she's old. They're always tired.
She's old, but
they're always tired. See, what are you saying?
I feel like maybe she's gone through a lot of trauma, and it seems that they made a mention in the earlier episode, in episode 1, how she speaks to the ancestors or the ancestors speak to her. So there's definitely like some kind of tie that she and Echo have to their lineage, right? But yeah, she just seems upset at the world, so much so that she's like ostracizing her granddaughter, Echo, like we mentioned. And it seems that her husband is no longer her husband. And we see that, they're no longer together, the grandpa and her. So she's
really messing up because that guy, Grandpa the stud, she's missing out. But I do want to mention real quick, because I think it's important to the story of Echo that we talk about Bonnie, because that was her cousin who, from the beginning, when everything happened and they were separated, but although they were cousins, they were like sisters. I think even Echo said it, like when they kept saying, "No, you're my cousin," she said, No, we're sisters. Yeah. And she finds out because Maya, when she comes into this town, was it not Oklahoma? Was it? Is it?
It is in Oklahoma.
Oh, it is Oklahoma. But it's in Oklahoma. And she returns, and she's just there for her mission, right? She's there for her mission. She brings a Biscuit with him in this mission, but she doesn't want anyone to know. And when Bonnie finds out, and Biscuit really messed up in this scene when he goes, yeah, the car messed up and all this thing, but I'm okay, and Maya's okay, and you can even see when he gets like, oh my God, I messed up.
Yeah, and hold on, we got a comment. The Bonnie actor also voiced Hori in the What If series, and that's really cool.
That is cool. That's a great timing. I didn't know that. Great job.
But the fact that Echo done brought her freaking villainous self down to this city, I felt so bad for them. I felt bad for the uncle because I feel like the uncle was right. Like she has all of this anger, much like her grandmother, right? Mm-hmm. I think even her grandpa said they're very much alike. They hold on to the anger. Kingpin pointed out, he said, you need to focus this anger that you have in something productive. Mm-hmm. She doesn't do that. She decides to take the war out of New York, bring it back to her hometown. So if anything does go down, that's not a good thing. Because
no, it is, because I don't want to deal with that crap in New York. So yes, take that to Oklahoma. I was just saying, as I was playing Spider-Man 2, why does everything happen in New York? So take that, Oklahoma. Let's go.
Selfish. They don't mind.
We've been through a lot, see the Superior. The battle in New York. Didn't Luke Cage fight someone? Like, do you imagine
Yeah.
I'm going to Harlem and some big black man hit my train? Yeah, take that to Oklahoma. Take that to Virginia. Take it elsewhere. Leave us alone.
But in my opinion, that's very
in Philadelphia.
Her. Like her uncle said, was because we're introducing her to her uncle, her dad's brother, Henry.
Yes.
He said, I don't want y'all, you bringing this here to my, to this small town. It's
literally
minding their business.
I'm the villain today, Steve, because you're usually the one for all the destruction, but I'm for it today. Leave us alone.
I'm not for bringing it to these small towns. Let them, keep their business to themselves.
Nope. Take it there.
But speaking of her uncle, she kind of tries to get him to assist her in taking over, or kind of like, having like this guerrilla warfare with the Kingpin's people. And like I mentioned, he's like, you don't bring this over here. We chilling. We don't want any of that mess, right? He's just trying to run it.
Unchill. Unchill. I can't express enough how much I do not care that is happening in Oklahoma. Good for them. They need some action. What are you doing in a small town? Small town things? No, you need some action and some Michael Bay explosions. Let's go.
Well,
sorry, see, I'm not for it.
I'm not. Keep that mess in New York. Y'all got plenty of y'all.
No. We had aliens randomly flying and a giant green man jumping in the air. No, Oklahoma could get some action too. Spread the action.
They're definitely getting it because in episode 3, we are introduced to another one of her ancestors. And this one was like a silent film introduction.
I like that though. I like I just want to say real quick, I did like that because that was something different on how it opened. It gave that, what would you say, that 1920s, 1930s open. So I thought that was cool. Yeah,
that was like an interesting take. But this was a very action-packed episode. We got to see how the dude from the roller skating rink, the one cleaning the skates out, he turned her in. He's like, I got the king killer. He kidnaps her along with like a couple of his friends. And they try to pretty much set her up. They're like, look, just come pick her up. We got her. Make it happen. We also get to see how Maya and Bonnie reconnect after so many years. They keep saying something like 20 years. And apparently they kept in touch up until the death of her father, at which point Echo no longer was, responding to her text messages and hadn't really heard Bonnie. But Echo's very much a hard shell. She's not as receptive to Bonnie's, open-heartedness. Bonnie seems like she wears her heart on her sleeve. And Echo's very much not that person.
She's been through so much when she's just pretty much cold to the world. But you can still see that she cared about her though, because in this, and I know we're going to go down about this spot here, but when they eventually do escape, she's just like, just get in the car. I'm going to contact you back. I'm going to do all these, I'm going to keep in contact with you. And I thought that was, you could see that she still cared.
Yeah, that's true. We do get to see, I wonder if we're ever going to cover her feelings of Kazi's death, because her and Kazi were cousins, very close. And
oh, there's the villain. There's the villain right there.
And I just wonder how they're going to address that, because again, not much time has passed. He said something about 5 months.
5 years. It was there for 5 years, right?
No, 5 months, I thought.
Oh, 5 months. No, you're right. I'm sorry. 5 months.
Between Hawkeye and this period, it's only been 5 months. So that death is really fresh still. And I wonder how they're going to.
So is that bullet wound.
Yeah, exactly. She had to stitch it up herself.
Oh my God, that was so gruesome. Ugh.
Yeah, that was nasty with some dental floss. But yeah, and at the end of episode 3, we see that she didn't finish the job in Hawkeye. Kingpin is still alive.
Maya, did you take to get rid of me? Let's have Sunday dinner like we used to.
I'm laughing because this is the same voice that you use for Happy Hogan. And it covers both of them so perfectly. I
want a purple Kingpin now. Hopefully in the next What If we get a purple Kingpin.
Oh, that would be cool. That would be cool.
That would be. And
But
he just flips omelets. He says, Vanessa, I did it.
But the thing is, I don't think that Kingpin, he has such a soft spot for Maya. Like, you know, that's her his niece. She calls him her uncle. And he seems to have a soft spot for women in general, because clearly we see he has a soft spot for Vanessa, right?
He did. And he pursued her.
Yes.
He did.
And I think he just has a thing with women because of his relationship with his mother. Like, he doesn't want to hurt women, I feel like. At least
no, he'll beat the hell. No, and I think you nailed it on the head. He'll beat the hell out of a guy. Like, he had no problem choking that black man out and fighting a blind man. But if it's a woman, he'll be like,
yeah, I'm telling you, this is a chivalrous man. Like, I'm still looking for the wrongs in Fisk.
We're looking for the wrongs. This man has bodies, and you're still looking. Well, I'll tell you right now, see the superior. There's something called the doctor, and they can give you glasses.
I don't need them. I can't see. I'm blind. But yeah, that was pretty much a quick breakdown of the 3 episodes. What do you think of it so far? Did it live up to your expectations? Do you have anything that you are, looking forward to in the last 2 episodes? What do you think?
Did it live up to my expectations? I don't know if I had any high expectations going into this, but I do like how gritty it is. I do like how it's shot. I also, one of the things I liked, and I was, I didn't take any notes, right? But I remember thinking to myself, like, wow, this is a show where you actually have to watch. A lot of times, like, I'll just be in the background and I can play the scene in my head by just like playing it and doing whatever. But you have to really watch because of the sign language. Like, because Maya don't talk at all. She really doesn't, excuse me, she doesn't really say anything. And you had to read those subtitles. So I really enjoyed this series. It's a great way to start off the year. So yeah, thumbs up so far. I've seen 4 episodes. I know we're going to do episode 4 and 5 tomorrow, but it's been a fun watch.
Mm-hmm. I agree. It's been a fun watch. I'm particularly enjoying trying to figure out how to do the sign curse words when they put them on screen. I know it's bullshit.
Well, you know what this means, right?
What? A-O?
Asshole.
Oh yeah.
I learned that from that movie, and he was a musician and his son did it, and this means thank you.
Okay, yeah, I know that one. And stand, we got that now. So we about to be saying something.
And they be getting aggressive too because they're so good with it. So you know how we're doing the slow doodle.
Yeah, real fast.
And when I see that, I'm like, what does that mean?
But so really good. If you are enjoying learning some sign curse words, don't forget to watch the next couple episodes and join us here tomorrow night to talk about episode 4 and 5 of Echo. So yeah, tomorrow night, same time, same place. Don't forget to like the video if you like the video and share it with your friends and join us tomorrow. I enjoyed the episodes. I did come in with high expectations because, like I mentioned several times, I was a big fan of Hawkeye. And I like the fact that this show is kind of shot visually in that same texture of Daredevil. Like something you can always kind of tell, like how something's shot. It looks like that. It's
the grittiness of it. I think that's what it really is. It's and it's
funny
because
color grading.
Yeah, no, it is because and you're right. It's so dark, and it's funny because when I think of Daredevil and that Netflix timeline, right? They were all in New York, and this is in Oklahoma, and I think they still had a great job on bringing it. Why are you laughing? Because I said Oklahoma. That small town, that small ass town. That's getting all the action. It's finally getting some action, Oklahoma, and you're welcome. Send a New Yorker, and that's the show. So, let's exit this.
See ya. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Bye, folks.